here, and then we can go from there. So 3, 2, 1. This is Dr. Daniel Pizarski coming to you from the Lounge of Balance Chiropractic and Rehab in West Fargo, North Dakota. Today we have a special celebrity guest for you. My guest is Clint Arthur. He is a celebrity entrepreneur and author of What They Teach You at the Wharton Business School, and host of the greatest show of all time on 77 WABC radio in New York City. And he actually was a graduate of the Wharton Business School, I recently learned. So he's one to listen to.
I was, and I still am. I still am a graduate.
Yeah, he also still is, because once you graduate, you get to keep saying that.
Yeah, once you graduate, you never go back.
Yeah, you get to keep that.
So far.
So right now, Clint, I met you at a speaking engagement because you speak all across the United States on celebrity entrepreneurship and how entrepreneur marketing, is that what you would call it?
Yeah, I'm an author, a speaker, a coach, an entrepreneur, and I have figured out some stuff that allows me to make 7 figures a year. I'm top 1% of money earners in the National Speakers Association. And, I've been working, probably making more money than most people make in a year. I've made in the last couple months while we've been escaping the anarchy of New York City, where I'm, living midtown Manhattan. Totally. But as you can see, I'm not in New York City. I'm in Acapulco, Mexico, and I've been here for 2.5+ months. Thank God. And
that's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
It was a really smart move that we made. And I said to my wife, as all my speaking gigs were getting canceled by all these different places that I had agreements to be a speaker, and I was going to go and sell all their people and have them come to my conference with Dr.Oz and Dr.Drew and celebrity chef Paula Deen and Patch Adams and Surgeon General of the United States. I had all that stuff lined up, but the beginning of March just started all canceling away. And so I said to my wife, hey, do we want to go back to New York City and be in our apartment in Midtown? Or do we want to maybe hop on a plane from Dallas, where we were, to Acapulco? And here we are.
Like a pretty good idea. So it's like an Airbnb, is that what you're staying in, or?
Yeah, so far we've made a few offers on houses.
Really?
But we haven't, they haven't accepted any of the offers yet because they're like, I don't know, they don't really want to sell. Real estate in Mexico is very ego driven.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of ego tied up in real
Really?
estate in Mexico. Yeah, much more than in the USA, I think,
That's hard to imagine.
Well, they there's all these villas, right? I mean,
yep.
And this is one of the least nice villas that I'm in, right? And
you're in the ghetto of Acapulco right now?
No, not of Acapulco, of the neighborhood.
Of the neighborhood you're in. Okay, because that doesn't look too bad.
It's pretty good, I'll like give it a spin, but they're, all the ones over there, this is a townhouse we're in. All the other ones are more like estate-like. In any case,
okay,
they all have names on them. Everybody names their house after themselves.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Like Casa Rudy,
Really?
Yeah. Or a Casa Jerry,
I imagine that you've already named your place that you're staying.
We're going to name our place. This place is just called Buena Vista. I think it is Bella Vista or Buena Vista. I don't know. Nice view. It has a nice view. But when we buy a place down here, we're going to call it Villa de Estrellas, which means Villa of the Stars, because
Villa of the Stars. Nice.
I'm going to start having clients come down for celebrity masterminds in Acapulco, and it's going to be super cool.
And I'd rather go there than actually New York City.
Yeah.
Especially celebrities, because they're just bombarded by all of their work if they're in New York or LA. you know?
Well,
They're always at.
unfortunately, New York has gone through a really terrible thing these days, and I don't know. I don't know when it's gonna fix itself. I don't know if it'll ever get back. But look, I grew up in New York City in the 1970s and 80s, and
Uh-huh.
it was so bad. My high school band, I was not a member. I'm just saying the band of the guys who played from our high school was called Urban Blight. That's what New York was when we lived there. When I was
Urban
a kid.
Blight.
Urban Blight. There was boarded up buildings. There was graffiti everywhere. There was vacant lots, crime. I got mugged several times growing up in New York.
Wow.
And, you know, Mayor de Blasio has brought back the good old days of urban blight.
Really, it's
Congratulations.
gotten worse. Huh?
Well, that's what I hear. That's
I've
what I
never actually been to New York City yet,
Ah,
but I don't really want to. Is the thing. It's like,
yeah, not
is
now.
he? Well, not now for sure. I don't want to go to any city.
Dude, our last event that we did, our last celebrity entrepreneur event. Look, so what I did, I figured stuff out. Okay, I wrote a book. I wanted to sell books. I asked Jack Canfield, author of Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Okay.
Jack, how do you sell books? He goes, you got to become somebody. You got to start going on media, on TV, radio, getting in the news, because people don't buy books from nobodies. They only buy books from famous people. You got to become somebody. So I started doing that. I started going on TV news and talk shows, and it was expensive to get on those shows. And I showed the first 4 appearances to my wife. I said, honey, what do you think? She goes, I think you suck. And I said,
Hey.
you're right. You know, I can see, look, one of the
It's
things
good that she told you that, though.
I can be a realistic person. And I said, I agree. And if I'm ever going to get good enough to fulfill my dream, which was to get on the Today Show, then I better do a lot more TV so I can get good. You know, you think you watch TV, so you think, well, how hard could it be? It's not easy to do video and audio and be great at it all at the same time. So I said, I'm going to hire this publicist to book me on 10 more shows. That was going to cost $15,000. Okay. And my wife goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. Why do you keep paying this lady? Why don't you just book yourself on TV? And I said, how do I do that? And it took me 9.5 weeks. Wow, that's the movie name. 9.5 weeks. You ever see that movie?
I remember it, but I never saw it. That was with
that was a good movie. Mickey Rourke, 9.5 weeks. Very hot date night movie. You should check it out. And it took me 9.5
Women
weeks.
are scarce here right now.
It took me 9.5 weeks to book my first TV appearance. And man, once I did that, I was hooked. And,
you're good, huh?
You know, because the lady was charging me $1,500 for each one she booked for me.
Okay.
And at least that's a pay for performance model. That's okay. If you're going to do publicity, at least pay for results, not for efforts, because most of these people can't deliver.
Well, what were you speaking about?
Well, that's what I said to the lady. I said, look, what I really wanted to talk about is I had this amazing experience. In October of 2008, see, I mean, there's a lot of stories that you're going to hear along the way of this interview, but
I know you got a lot of stories. That's why
in October of 2008.
We'll probably have to have like a 3-part series or 6-part series for you.
What are you drinking? Are you drinking Heineken? What are you drinking?
No, this is a beer. It's called Junkyard Brewing Company. It's a giant beer can, and I've been a little stressed out the last couple of days, and so I've just I like to have a beer. Or
that looks good. That's like a Foster's in those giant cans, right?
Yeah, it's like 2.5 beers in one. Yeah, it's huge. So yeah, it's some of the best beer I've ever had. And it's just this little brewing company. It blew up in Moorhead, Minnesota, and they sell it all over Minnesota now. And got a really cool atmosphere. But
more power to you.
That's what I'm drinking. We'll give a shout out to Junkyard. And this was actually I had this one. It was an old one. It's from St. Patrick's Day. It's a bleed green, some sort of beer. But
awesome.
So yeah, that's what I'm drinking. What are you drinking?
Okay. we just put a pin in that conversation right there. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I started booking myself on TV shows, and the lady who was the publicist, she said, like, first I had to get the courage to hire a publicist.
Okay.
And she goes, what do you want to talk about on TV? I said, what I really want to talk about is I was at this campfire with my men's self-help team in Los Angeles, and the shaman points at me across the yellow and orange crackling flames, and he goes, "You don't know it yet, but you're already dead." And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? 8 years ago, I was driving a cab. Now I'm a millionaire. I was living on a little tiny boat. Now I live in a mansion. You're already dead. You just don't know it. And I didn't know what he was talking about, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. For months, I would wake up out of a sound sleep. I'm already dead. I'm already dead. What does he mean? And
they know how to fuck with you. I have a shaman coach also that I just started working with.
God bless.
They dream for you. She had a dream for me, and it made me like. She said it to me in a text, and it made me like shake. It was weird.
Well, this guy changed my life forever because it came to be New Year's Day of 2009, and I woke up and poured myself a mimosa and pulled out a pad of paper and a pen to write down my list of goals for the year, as I had become accustomed to doing once I became successful as a businessman. Stop trying to be a screenwriter and an actor. And really
your big dream was to be an actor, because you're telling me all about how you grew up with Robert Downey Jr. in junior high. You told me the Robert Downey Jr. story.
Robert Downey Jr. That's a great story. I don't know if we can get to that one.
I don't know if we can get that one on here either, but that was a good story.
But that day, on New Year's Day, I asked myself a question inspired by the shaman. And I said, hey, what if that guy was right? What if I am already dead, whatever that means? Or what if this was going to be the last year of my life? What would I want to accomplish this year? And that question changed everything in my whole entire life. Not only did I start writing again. I hadn't written in 8 years. Okay. I had quit writing. I said, I don't want to have a dream. I just want to have a normal freaking life. I just want to, make some money instead of being a cab driver. I want to get married. I want to have a house. I don't want to live in a little boat, like camping on a boat for the rest of my life.
Yep.
And over the course of 8 years, I fulfilled all of that. But I realized when I asked myself that question about if it was going to be the last year of my life, what I had given up on was who I really am. Who I really am is a writer. I'm a writer. That's what I am. When I was a little kid in high school, one of my teachers was a man named Frank McCourt. He wrote a memoir about his impoverished childhood in Ireland called Angela's Ashes, and won the Pulitzer Prize for that book.
Yeah, that's a pretty book.
Inspired me and all of us to want to become writers. And
so it was published while you were in high school there?
No, it was published a little more than 10 years after I graduated from college.
Oh, college, okay.
I graduated from college in '87, and his book came out in '96, I believe. And then he won the Pulitzer Prize and inspired us all. So when I realized that I had to write my book about what I learned at the Wharton Business School that helped me to become successful once I stopped trying to be a movie star and started being a businessman, I wrote that book in a few days. And
I want to read that now.
It's a great book, what they teach you at the Wharton Business School. It's not at all what you think. It's not a bean counting book. It's really philosophies of living, how to live,
psychology too,
be successful. So I said to the publicist, she goes, well, what do you want to talk about on TV? I said, what I want to talk about on TV is living as if it's going to be the last year of your life, because that enabled me to really break through and accomplish all kinds of dreams. I was obese at that point. I was 236 pounds. Just to give you an example, I'm around 200 right now. Okay. And that year, living as if I was going to die at the end of the year, I lost 40 pounds. And my marriage was on the rocks, and we got into counseling and worked it out. We're about to celebrate our 19th wedding anniversary this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations.
And my wife, she's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And it was all going to blow up. I wrote my book and all this stuff. And I said, that's what I want to talk about. And she goes, well, do you have a book about that? And I go, no, I don't have a book about that. She goes, well, I can't get you on TV for that. You're not Tony Robbins. You're not famous. You're not a politician. You don't even have a book. It's a big thing they talk
about. You have to write a book to get famous now. That gets you booked on all these things.
And you know what? There's a lot to having a book.
You write a book called I Don't Need a Fucking Book to be famous.
Yeah, right? Here's the really funny one. Frank McCourt's brother, he goes, I have a new book coming out. It's called Have You Read My Brother's Book?
That's awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
he's funny. He's really funny. He was going to come and speak at my event when it was going to be in New York, but now that I've moved it to Atlanta, I don't know if he's going to come because he's really old. But in any case,
It's warm there. It's probably good for the joints.
you know,
It's really humid there, though.
It's a lot of things. But in any case, my goal was to get on the Today Show, and I started booking myself on TV, and once I started booking myself and it wasn't costing me $1,500 per appearance, then I went nuts. My first year, I booked myself on 7 shows. The second year, I booked 20 shows. My 57th television appearance was on the Today Show. They called me, and Brooke Shields and Willie Geist interviewed me on that show, and they asked me a question. They go, you know, Clint, you have a great idea. You ask yourself a question every year.
Was Today Show, is that, no, that's Regis and Kathy. It's Regis and Kathy, right?
The Today Show is the morning show, 3 hours long on NBC News.
It's NBC. It used to be Matt Lauer.
Yeah, it used to be Matt Lauer.
Until he went to jail.
Until he got Me Too'd. He got Me Too'd out.
Yeah, okay.
They go,
but they have all the signs and shit, and then they talk to people outside.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
All right, yep.
And Hoda Kotb is the big host of that show now. And they go, you have a great idea. Hoda Kotb, I'll show you a picture. They go, you have a great idea, Clint. You ask yourself a question every year. What's that question? And I said, ask yourself, if this was going to be the last year of your life, what would you want to accomplish? That's been the superpower of my life that has really propelled me to be able to do all the things that I've done over the last few years.
So when do you ask that question? January 1st, or you do a special day, or?
Well, look, there's Brooke and me.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You ask yourself that question whenever you're in a peak state, really.
Peak state.
New Year's Day is a good day. Your birthday is a good day. You know, whatever's a peak moment for you when it has meaning for you. The more meaningful the moment is, the more you'll be able to get out of asking that question.
Totally. I totally agree with that.
So that was my 57th appearance. And the next day, you asked me what I'm drinking lately. The next day, I woke up and I said to my wife, after a night of partying, celebrating, going on the Today Show.
How old are you? I
was 48 years old when that happened.
48. Okay, I still got time. I got a little bit of time. I feel like I'm super old.
And I woke up the next morning and I turned to my wife and I said, I think I'm done drinking. And that was 6.5 years ago, and I have not had a drop of alcohol in 6.5 years. That's not true. We were in Europe last fall. After my event at Carnegie Hall, we were celebrating. We went on a 3-week trip to Europe, and we were in Prague, Czechoslovakia. And I ordered some tiramisu. Mm-hmm. And I took a bite of this tiramisu, and it had that delicious, warm flavor, like warm
brandy or something.
I said, and I call over the waiter. I'm like, does this have alcohol in it? He goes, oh yeah, it has amaretto in it. I'm like, well, you didn't say that on the menu. He goes, oh, all tiramisu has amaretto. I'm like, no, all tiramisu does not have amaretto.
It doesn't? I thought it did. It's like coffee tastings.
Yeah.
Stuff in it.
So I took that one bite. That's the one drop of alcohol that I've had. I had to pay for that piece of tiramisu. They made me pay for it, even though I sent it back.
You sent it back even?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
And you know, nobody would have known. No, like I could have had that whole tiramisu. I would have been wasted off of one nice piece of tiramisu loaded with alcohol. But I didn't have it. I sent it back and I got
But it would be stuck. It'd be stuck in your head. Like, that's how I would get. Like, I would just remember that. I wouldn't have done something proactive about it.
It would have been, look, you can't lie to yourself.
Totally.
Right? It wouldn't have mattered to anyone. My wife would be happy if I started drinking again, because now, look, my wife and I, we partied so much. We drank so much wine and tequila together. Okay. And she misses those days of partying. However, since I don't drink anymore, she doesn't really drink not nearly as much. She can have a glass of wine when she does whatever she wants. I don't control her life. She's not an alcoholic or a drug addict, but I was/am, I don't know. All I know is being down here in Mexico, I thank God that I don't drink anymore, because you go to Walmart and there's all this great beer and tequila, you know, in Mexico. And shit, I'd be drinking beer and tequila every day, all day long, if I was still drinking right now.
It's hot there, so it's easy to drink it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Except for I hate tequila, like the smell. Like some people, either you love it or you hate it, I think.
Hey, I loved everything. I did more partying than you will ever do. And I had a great time doing it, but now I've been clean and sober for more than 6 years. And I'm so grateful every day that I don't drink anymore, because I would be a waste case now. And I wouldn't be able to achieve all the things that I've done over the last few years. We
were just talking, me and my intern, my marketing intern Nate here, we were just talking about that actually, like there's sand volleyball coming up, and I haven't played it in a few years because the group of people I used to hang out with, like all we'd ever talk about was drinking and drugs, and like I was like, can we talk about something else? But they couldn't do it, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I just started doing my own thing, working on my business, working on myself, working on like my spiritual life and different things like that. And none of those people are in my life anymore. But so I understand where you're coming from. You can't do both.
It was really tough at first because, you know, like I didn't ask my wife, is it okay if I quit drinking? My wife and I, we partied together a lot, you know. It was ritualistic partying, you know, every night, drinking, eating and drinking every night.
Yeah.
And when I stopped, that was a big change for her.
I'm sure. Well, yeah, totally. Because, in any marriage, if one person has a change, it affects the other, because you basically have a shared experience.
Yeah, exactly. Shared routine, shared whole thing, and that went away. But thank God I don't drink anymore. That's all I can say. Now we work a lot. We used to see, look, this is one of the things. I'm not trying to be on a soapbox trying to get anybody to stop doing anything. All I'm saying is this is my experience. I wondered for a long time, should I tell people that I work as hard as I do? I work really hard. Before this whole coronavirus thing blew up, we were living in New York City in our apartment in Midtown Manhattan, doing our events. Our most recent event was in September 26, 7, and 8 at Carnegie Hall in New York City. I had Martha Stewart and Ice-T and Coco and Jerry from Ben.
I heard it went really well. Frank from Canada went up there, and he told me it has done really well for him.
Michael Gerber, Dan Kennedy was supposed to be there. I ended up having to play the role of Dan Kennedy and give Dan Kennedy's last lecture on his behalf. And it went really well.
Was he like sickly, or?
He was going to die.
Did he die?
Was in hospice. He didn't die. Oh. As I predicted, he was in hospice. And as I predicted, I said, you know what? He thinks he's going to die. He thinks just because he wants to die that he's going to die. But
usually the opposite happens, and I felt like that many times.
But he's going to get to the point. He's going to get to the point where he's going to say, you know, if I'm working this hard to try to die, I at least need to be getting a check. And if I'm not getting a check, I don't want to work this hard. And that's exactly what happened. He checked himself out of hospice and went home, and he's like working again. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's awesome. But I had to pause you for a second. Like you had said, it's just my experience. There's something really, I have a unique story about that. One of my mentors, he said, the greatest gift I'll ask you a question actually. What's the greatest gift that you can give?
Well, I think where you're going with that is my unique perspective and knowledge of what is real.
Well, the greatest gift that you can give is your experience, because it's yours. It's not anybody else's.
I don't know everything.
It's the only thing that you can give that no one else can give.
I don't know everything in the world, okay? And this kind of goes back to Frank McCourt, okay? When Frank McCourt was teaching us creative writing in high school, he goes, what you need to write is what you know. The only thing you should write is what you know. And the only thing you really know is your life experiences. That you know. See, everything else is all like story, interpretation. But your life experience is your own truth. So I don't know everything about everything, but I'll tell you what I know about.
I thought you did because you went to Wharton Business School.
I know a lot of stuff that they taught me there, but they didn't teach me the most important thing in business. I told you I was a taxi driver. A lot of people ask me, do you resent having wasted 13 years of your life chasing the Hollywood dream and never achieving anything from it, except a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and broken dreams, and dashed hopes, and people telling me that I sucked, and that I was stupid, I was a loser. That's what I got out of 13 years. But what I learned was the most important lesson in business, which they don't teach you at Wharton or at the Harvard Business School. At least, when I spoke at the Harvard Faculty Club for an event sponsored by the Entrepreneurship Club of Harvard Business School, nobody was talking about this. And that is the most important lesson in business, which is who you are is more important than what you actually do or sell. See,
we were just talking about that too.
When Brooke Shields interviewed me on that show, they could have hired 1 million Columbia University journalism school graduates to do that interview, but they didn't. They hired Brooke Shields. Why? Because she's such a great interviewer? No, she's not. Because of who she is. She's somebody. She's Brooke Shields. And they wanted viewers. They wanted people to care. And right or wrong, whether you believe it is true or you're deluded and you want to ignore this fact, people care about famous people for some reason. If they see a picture of a famous person's face, or if they hear somebody's voice who's famous, like James Earl Jones, this is CNN, or if they see a picture of the person, or if they hear the name of the person, even, they care more than if it's just a nobody.
Because they're an ideal. That's an ideal to them.
Well, there's a lot of reasons to it. And one of the reasons is that we see these celebrities all the time on social media, in the movies, on TV, and we feel like we know who they are. We feel like we know them. We feel like they're kind of our friends in a way. Like you think about Kevin Hart, right? He's kind of your friend. You love Kevin Hart.
A little funny.
You love Kevin. You love everybody loves Kevin Hart. And when somebody says, "Oh man, like I saw Kevin Hart at the 10X conference," really, what did he say? See what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what all this stuff is going for. Yeah,
that's what you do.
I had Grant Cardone on my show, on The Greatest Show of All Time radio show, and he's the one who had Kevin Hart on his stage, and we talked about all that. And like it or not, celebrity is the name of the game. Who you are is more important than what you actually do or sell. And what I have found is that what has enabled me to live the life that I live, to make the money that I make, which most people would trade their job to do what I do and make what I make. I've learned how to position myself as a celebrity entrepreneur in the eyes of my customers and prospects. And I teach other people how to do that. And I provide opportunities for other people to do that through my events and other services that I offer.
Yeah, Atlanta last year when I first met you, that's the first time I learned about celebrity entrepreneur marketing. And then I looked it up when I got back and I'm like, well, this is a big thing. I'm like, huh.
It is. And as a matter of fact, if you Google the word celebrity entrepreneur, you're going to see, think about, you'll see who shows up on that first page of Google results. I'm on the first page of Google results now for the word celebrity entrepreneur. Yeah. And at some point, I promise you,
my intern's
dominating
right now.
I'm going to dominate it.
Yeah.
And when I remember when I was first starting out in this game as an expert, one of my coaches said to a room of 500-600 people, all right, now what is the term that you want to be associated with? Like when people Google that term, you want to show up. And at the time I put entrepreneur, and I put the word entrepreneur knowing full well that it was impossible for me to dominate the word entrepreneur on Google, not realizing that a few years later, I would stumble upon this idea of being a celebrity in the eyes of your customers and prospects, and I would create the term celebrity entrepreneurship. And I do believe that I created that term. I've written a book about it called Celebrity Entrepreneurship. It's on Amazon. If this conversation is at all interesting you, you should buy my $100 book on Amazon.
It's $100?
It's worth every penny.
That's
it's a hardcover.
book.
It's an expensive
Well, it's hardcover,
book.
all right.
It's a hardcover, full color interior. It's like
Is it a picture of you with all different celebrities?
I put my whole life in that book. Lots of pictures of me with celebrities in there. Lots of pictures from my whole life. But, you know, it's worth $100. Definitely. And here I am. Did your intern find me on Google already? Celebrity entrepreneur.
Just wandered away. I could, but anyways, actually, I'm not going to do that.
Well, trust me, it's there. You'll see.
Trust me.
So what else do you want to talk about?
So tell me about, so you have the one thing that, I remember when you were speaking in Atlanta, there was one thing that you asked every celebrity, what's the most important thing you've ever learned in your life? You had quite a few stories. What's the most important
thing? I got a lot of great stories about that. You know, I just asked Grant Cardone. I said, what's the most important thing you ever learned? He goes, nobody knows who you are.
Nobody knows who you are.
Nobody knows who you are. And your number one job as an entrepreneur is to make people know who you are, because if they don't know who you are, they ain't going to buy from you.
It's true. That's true.
I asked, you know, I ask all these people that. Martha Stewart, I said, Martha Stewart, what's the most important thing you ever learned? She said, my daddy told me when I was a little girl that I could do anything. And I believed him. Anything is possible. That's a recurring theme of a lot of celebrities. I asked that same question to Buzz Aldrin, second man to walk on the moon. He was a speaker at my conference at West Point. He said, anything is possible. Most important thing you ever learned. So,
well, if you go to the moon and you can look back on the Earth, then that's pretty convincing evidence that anything is possible. You got to work your ass off to like even become an astronaut. Like, so.
Well, look, you know, I chased my dream for 13 years and I gave up on my dream. But then I came back and I got mentorship. I do believe anything is possible. I think that when you don't have someone showing you the way, it's a lot harder to make your dreams come true.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I never had anybody show me the whole way to make it happen. But I've been blessed to have some great mentors, Dan Kennedy being one of them. And Dan is the one who made me really understand.
And how did you meet him initially?
I heard about him from another mentor. Have you heard of James Malinchak?
I heard the name, but I haven't read any stuff.
He was pretty hot for a while. He's been less, you know, active or relevant lately. But
on the direct mail advertising type stuff.
Speaker training guy. He introduced me to this idea of celebrity attachment, being in photos with famous people. And once he introduced me to that idea, I've really latched onto it. I think it's one of my favorite. I think it's my most favorite methodology for raising your status in the eyes of customers and prospects. Now, James Malinchak was one of Dan Kennedy's marketers of the year. And I started going to the Dan Kennedy conferences and meeting a lot of great entrepreneurs there. In those days, this is like 2011, 12, 13, 14. The Dan Kennedy events were very strong. He was very involved and there was a lot of people.
Yeah, that's when I first got out of chiropractic school, and I know he was really big then.
It's since really gone way downhill because he got less involved and now got sick. But in any case, he's the one who said your number one job as an entrepreneur is to raise your status in the eyes of customers and prospects. And once I started focusing exclusively on that, that's when I started thinking about, well, what am I doing? Like, that's when I started making a lot of money.
What are the different ways that you can raise your status? I'm curious.
Yeah, that's what I started thinking about. Like, what am I actually doing that is moving the needle as far as getting me, you know, I speak on a stage for 30 minutes and I walk away with a big stack of $10,000, $12,000 contracts in 30 minutes. And nobody else can do that because what I offer is real, guaranteed, and works. So what are the things that I offer and what is it that I have identified as being the powerful things? These are all in my book, Celebrity Entrepreneurship. There's 5 things that I do, basically. 5 that I basically do. Number 1, the most important thing you can do is you got to go on TV news and talk shows because nobody else gets to do that except for real celebrities. If you're not on TV news and talk shows, you may be internet famous, you may be a YouTube star, you may be an Instagram star, but you're not a celebrity. You're just somebody who's got a following. Okay?
And share your experience, even if you don't have a book, just share your experience of.
You got to get on TV however you can. I've written books about how to get on TV. My breakthrough book on how to get on TV is called Breakthrough Your Upper Limits on TV.
Okay. How many books have you written?
I've written more than 20 books since 2009.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's one of my goals is to write a book.
A lot of them are bestsellers. You know, part of the reason why I've written so many books is because people pay me to write their book with them. I'm really good at writing books. I do 3 phone calls with the person. Usually it takes 2 to 3 hours per call. And then the person is basically done. Then I send you a first draft of your book a couple months later.
Oh, you're kind of like a ghostwriter.
You know, kind of.
But you
in
know the format.
I know how to write a book, and I'm a curious person. I know what questions to ask. I know how to make things sound good when they're written, and mostly I'm a good listener. And people see the key to writing a book and having it sound good is it has to sound good, because when you write stuff, the person hears it in their head. So what makes it sound good? Well, for a person who for my co-authors who I work with, they work with me and they pay me a lot of money because they look up to me, they admire me, they respect me. And as a result of that, when they're talking to me, they talk to me in a way that sounds good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so then the words that you write sound good.
Yeah, they come out of your mouth sounding good because you look up to me, you admire me, you respect me, you like me. All those things create a tone that the reader hears in their head when they're reading the book.
So step 1 would be to start with yourself to create respect and rapport and what else? Well,
hey, look, look, there's a million ways to write a book. There may be a book, you know, there may be books where the person hates themselves. I don't know. No, really. I mean,
sure.
That's a particular tone. If the person hates
themselves. That's probably be a best-selling book because a lot of people hate themselves.
Yeah, it could be a really good book because it would have a very powerful voice, right? So I'm not going to say, you know, any definitive thing about how to write a book. I'm just saying that the reason why I've written so many books is because I've written like 6 or 7 books with people, and they've paid me a lot of money to write those books with them on top of the books that I've written for my own self. Okay? All right. So the first thing is you got to go on TV. The second thing you got to do is you got to be a VIP speaker. You met me when I was speaking at Matt Loop's event, and I had time on his stage. And after my time on his stage, I enrolled a lot of people to come to my Dr.oz event or to my Carnegie Hall event with Mark Stewart and IC and Coco, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those were all $10,000 to $12,000 contracts. And, right? That comes from being a very important speaker, speaking at very important places. Like in this interview, I've already mentioned that I spoke at the Harvard Faculty Club. I've spoken at Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, Matt spoke there too, I believe.
Yeah, Matt spoke
and talk to me about the New York Stock Exchange. That's it.
NASDAQ.
The NASDAQ. How do you get people on there? That's one of the things you do.
Those were good. Those were really good speaking events. And now, you know, since New York is what it is, I don't have anything scheduled to do at NASDAQ except on the NASDAQ Jumbotron. I mean, it's so fascinating. People don't understand anything that I do, but
I'd love to get on that.
it costs a lot of money to rent the NASDAQ Jumbotron billboard in Times Square. I rent it out and I sell it to clients in small chunks. And or I give it to them as a bonus for signing up to add value, because people, it's a very impressive thing to have your face or your book on the NASDAQ Jumbotron.
So if I sign up for the Dr.Oz event, you'll get me on the Jumbotron now?
Yes, that's part of the, that's a nice bonus that I can offer you. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So the two, we've talked about 2 of the 5. We talked about TV, VIP speaking. Number 3 is my favorite way, having photos of yourself with major celebrities. I love, 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 love it. It's really fun. It's very intense. I try to ask them a question every time when I
Why
meet.
is it so intense?
Because, you know, you think that like a person like John Travolta, you think he's a normal person?
No.
Right.
No.
He's not a normal person. I call these people unicorns.
Yeah.
They're like unicorns. They're way different than you and me. Number one, it's really intense because you never get a lot of time with them. They're moving. They're going someplace else. You know, they're going to take a picture with you and then they're going to leave and you're never going to see them again, usually. Or it'll be a long time until you see them again. Like we met Dr. Oz recently. For the first time, we met Dr. Oz at Tony Robbins' 60th birthday party.
Oh, nice, nice.
And
that's what Matt was at that too, I think. He was at one of those Tony Robbins special events like that.
No, Matt was at an event where that was like an affiliate reward event. Matt promoted a Tony Robbins program, and all the top referrers got to go to a mastermind with him and Dean Graziosi.
Oh, yeah. I remember him.
That's great.
I get all his stuff. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish Matt was at the birthday party, but I didn't see him. I don't think he was.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But these unicorns, you know, they are very special people. They're different, and they're fast-moving bogeys, and you got to grab them while you can get them. And, you know, I asked Tony Robbins, I said, Tony, what's the most important thing you ever learned? And, you know, let me show you that picture. That's a great picture. At his birthday party. And he said,
nice.
Life is happening for you.
Life is happening for you.
Life is happening for you.
That one a lot.
And I'll give you, you know, it's an amazing concept if you can really live that way. One of my speaking mentors, a guy named Sean Stevenson. You ever hear of him or know him?
I haven't heard of him, no.
He was the 3-foot giant. He had some bone disease. He would, if he fell down, he would break his bones. He rode around in a wheelchair. He was 3 feet tall. And
I think I just vaguely remember him.
Great speaker, bald head.
Uh-huh.
And he'd always stick out his tongue like this. Like, he would take pictures like that.
Really?
Yeah, that's how he would look basically when he was taking pictures. And unbelievable. You've heard of Joe Polish?
Yep.
Joe Polish. Sean Stevenson was one of Joe Polish's best friends. Sean Stevenson falls down out of his wheelchair, breaks his head open. And this is the story I read on Facebook. Joe Polish goes to the emergency room, and as they're wheeling Sean Stevenson into the operating room for brain surgery, and he dies on the operating table. As they're wheeling him into the operating room, he says to Joe Polish, "This is happening for me."
Huh. He died?
He died on the operating table, man.
Jeez.
This is happening for me. Tony Robbins was an influence.
It's a great way to frame your life, though, because
Tony Robbins was one of his influences too, you know? So yeah, I love to ask him these questions. And, you know, people don't understand that when you get these pictures with these people, when you meet these people, it will change your life.
Mm-hmm.
They have a different perspective on the world, and meeting these unicorns will change your life. And so far, I've met like 45 major celebrities in, you know, in varying circumstances.
And who was the most influential celebrity of them all?
Well, this is not a political statement. Obviously, the most influential of them all is Donald Trump.
What was he like? Or was it just like 30 seconds?
Donald Trump was the nicest freaking guy in the world. We were at a rally. After the rally, we got to meet Donald Trump. He comes this was way back in December of 2015. He comes over. So he still was like just nobody, really.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And
me
and my wife were at this rally in Las Vegas, and he sees her and just makes a beeline for my wife. He goes, "This is a gem here." And he goes, "Mwah," and gives her a big kiss on the cheek. And I go,
really?
And I go, "I went to Wharton, Mr. Trump." He goes, "That's a good school." Because he went to Wharton too.
Yep. Yeah.
He goes, "That's a good school. This is a gem here. You got to take care of this one." I said, "Can we get a quick selfie, Mr. Trump?" And he goes, "Go ahead." So here's our picture. Here's our picture with Donald Trump. I swear to God, the most charismatic, nicest guy I ever freaking met. He reminded me like my dad when my dad was like at his best. Like when my dad was charismatic and nice, like really trying hard to be likable, which is not always.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what Donald Trump felt like to me. Here's the picture.
You related to him.
Here's the picture of me and my wife and Donald Trump.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Good for you. That's great.
Yep.
So I would imagine a big thing is being relatable in like these books, and celebrity entrepreneur like gets people, you get respect and people look up to you, but then also in your speaking and in your writing, you want to be relatable. In some way to everybody in a humanistic manner.
Well, look, what is so great about my book, Celebrity Entrepreneurship, is that it's 100% story-based. I've finally figured out, you read that book, I'm just telling stories the whole time. There's no, like,
love stories.
There's no, like, I don't know, formulas, except for the fact that I tell it like it is. I mean, it's about TV, it's about VIP speaking, it's about celebrity attachment. The fourth thing that I do out of my 5 basic things is I write best-selling books. All celebrities have best-selling books. I've had many #1 best-selling books on Amazon. And if you have a book, you need to decide that you're going to market that book and make it a best-selling book, because you need it to be a best-selling book for marketing purposes. Like I said, you said, "How should I introduce you, Clint?" I said, "Hey, I want you to introduce me as the #1 best-selling author of what they teach you at the Wharton Business School," because that's a positioning statement right there.
And the greatest showman of all time. And
host of the greatest show of all time on 77 WABC radio in New York City. That is a positioning statement right there. Okay? Aside from what it all means, right? But do you want to be likable in your books? Like I was saying, you could come across, like, here's the thing. It's like The Godfather. And I know this is getting very esoteric, but you know the movie The Godfather. The Godfather is not a nice person. The Godfather is a stone cold killer. The Godfather is responsible for the deaths of lots and lots of people. He killed lots of people himself. He raised a family of killers. He was responsible for the deaths of many, 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 many people. And his whole life was based on crime. He's not a likable person. However, having studied all of this stuff for a long time, what I have learned, and the reason why The Godfather is a character that people love, is because in his world of evil, compared to the rest of the evil that's going on all around him, there are likable attributes that he exhibits, which makes him a likable character, because you're looking at his whole world, the universe of The Godfather, and within that universe, he comes off as sympathetic. So if you want to get technical about it, there you go. Now, like I said, do you have to come off likable? I personally think it's helpful if people like you.
Well,
You know the thing, know, like, and trust. They have to know you, like you, and trust you, right?
mm-hmm.
You've heard that before, right?
Yep.
I believe that's bullshit. I think that's weak sauce. Okay,
Yeah, they
it's
don't always have to
naive.
like you, they have to
It's
respect
not.
you.
It's naive. It's more than know, like, and trust. You have to follow the ABCs of acquiring the best customers, and I teach that to all my clients. You have to do that, which is way more than just know, like, and trust. But in any case, I do believe that likability is a good aspect to exhibit to prospects and clients and customers. But more important is you got to go on TV. I mean, there's a lot of people who do exactly what I say, and they're not really likable. Like, for example, Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank.
Yep.
He's not really likable, but people pay him a lot of money, and people buy his book, and people do all kinds of stuff and watch him on TV on Shark Tank. He's not really likable, but he goes on TV. He's a VIP speaker. He has best-selling products and books. He has photos with major celebrities. And then the fifth thing that I do is you win awards. Now, once I started studying Dan Kennedy, I was amazed that I got to the point where I actually won Dan Kennedy's Information Marketer of the Year award.
Oh, wow, you did.
I am Dan Kennedy's InfoMarketer of the Year.
Which year?
2013.
Okay.
And there has never been another one since then. No one has won it. I'm the reigning InfoMarketer of the Year.
Champ.
That's right. And there will never be another one. There never will be. Because once I won it for Celebrity Launchpad, where I teach people my mathematical formula for how to book yourself on TV anytime you want for free, once I won it for that, the bar was set so high, they've never had another InfoMarketer of the Year. But when I won his award, the fascinating thing for me was that's when I really started believing in what I was doing and started really focusing all in 100%. The only thing I'm going to do is focus on becoming a bigger celebrity in the eyes of my customers and prospects, the way Dan Kennedy advises. That's when I started studying, what am I doing? What else can I do that really works? That's when I came up with my 5 pillars of celebrity entrepreneurship that I've just gone through for you. And then there's a 6th bonus pillar, and that is stuff like this.
The upsell.
This is the 6th bonus pillar right here. And that is what I call celebrity lifestyle marketing. And that is living the dream. You gotta demonstrate for your clients and prospects that you are living the dream that they want. And that's what I do.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. That really was a great detailed look at what celebrity entrepreneurship is. So we're getting close to the end of our hour. Could you tell us a little bit more about the event coming up in when you have it, October?
August 7, 8, 9. That was a ton of content I delivered there, right?
Yeah, that was a shitload of content.
That was a ton of freaking content.
Yes.
And I delivered it all in story form, right?
Yeah.
All I did was just tell stories. I told you stories about Grant Cardone and Brooke Shields and Tony Robbins and Dr.
People love
Oz
stories.
and Martha Stewart and Buzz Aldrin. See what I did there? All I did was tell you celebrity stories this whole time. Why? Why is it so powerful? Because you know who those people are. You like all those people. You feel like you know them. And because I told you all those stories with all those celebrities, you were able to envision it in your mind's eye more easily than if it had just been, oh, but my friend Joe. You don't know what my friend Joe is, but when I say Martha Stewart, you see her face in your mind's eye. When I say Donald Trump, you see his face in your mind's eye. And I told you all those stories, and this is what I teach people how to do at my events. People say, well, what are we going to do at your event for 3 days?
That was my next question. How do the events laid out?
August 7, 8, 9 at CNN Center in Atlanta, okay? The first state to open up. I want to have this freaking event. I got Dr. Oz, Dr. Drew, Paula Deen, the celebrity chef, Patch Adams, the Surgeon General of the United States, a NASA astronaut, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What are we going to do for 3 days? Well, each of those people.
Well, it's 3 days.
What?
It's 3 days?
August 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
okay?
That makes sense.
And a lot of people, hey man, I go to conferences. I'll never forget the conference I paid $9,500 for in Miami. I'm not going to say whose it was. And day 1 began at 6 p.m. with cocktail reception. Day 2 was all day, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Day 3 was from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That was it. That was their 3-day conference. My 3-day conference starts the night before. You need to arrive on the 6th. We have a registration networking party. Then it's all day until 7 p.m. The 7th, 8th, and 9th. There's networking lunches and networking dinner parties every day of the 3-day conference.
And that's where you create relationships. And that's how you got on this podcast. I mean, those are the things when you go to conferences that people don't understand, like why you need to go, because you create those relationships.
Especially at my conferences, where everyone at my conference is a celebrity entrepreneur. Now, they may not be as famous as Dr. Oz or Dr. Drew or Patch Adams or Paula Dean or me, but in the scheme of all of that, I'm nobody compared to all those people. See what I'm saying? And there's going to be other celebrity entrepreneurs in all different stages of their success and careers. A lot of them are my graduates. Like another one of my speakers is Dr. Catrice Austin. She got paid to go on Dr. Oz to talk about a teeth whitening product. She's a celebrity dentist. Her clients include DJ Khaled and Cardi B. Okay? Yeah. All right? She's one of my students. She's been to my Celebrity Launchpad 3 times, and she'll be one of my speakers at this event in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
So everybody at this event is a celebrity entrepreneur. You're going to want to know everybody there, and you're going to need to fall into this whole thing and begin your journey as a celebrity entrepreneur, because now more than ever, like you think, oh, I'm a doctor. My job is safe. My career is safe. Wrong. You know who the doctor's going to be? The doctor's going to be an AI. They're going to have AI diagnosing you for if you suspect that you may have COVID-22, please press 2. Then you're going to go to AI questions, and they're going to diagnose you as being either coronavirus or not coronavirus, right? In a few years. And the only way you're going to have any careers doing anything anymore as an expert, author, speaker, coach is if you're somebody special. If you're famous to some degree, just like Jack Canfield said to me all those many years ago.
It's important for entrepreneurs right now because a lot of them are struggling, due to this COVID virus and what the government has done and shut down everything. So the way to jumpstart their business again would be to go to your conference.
You need visibility. You need to be seen as being a mover and a shaker. And if you come to the conference, you go to IMM20.com.
IMM20.com.
Yeah, it stands for Instant Marketing Miracle 2020, right? So
I like that.
IMM20.com. And you can get your tickets to come, and there are different levels of who gets photos with what. But, you gotta think about how powerful it's going to be for you to stand out on social media and in all your marketing when you have pictures with Paula Dean or Dr. Oz or Patch Adams or Dr. Drew, all of those people, and learn how to tell stories with them as well. Look, man, I chased the Hollywood dream for 13 years, and then what happened? And like towards the middle of it, I met a woman at the Sundance Film Festival, and we became involved, and she got pregnant. And next thing I know, we had a baby. And I was I was 30 years old with a new baby, and all my credit cards were maxed out, and I started driving a taxi. That was the beginning of my taxi driving career. And I did that for a few years while we were still together, and I was making like $1,500 a week driving a taxi full time. Busting my ass every single day, and I was paying for everything. But her career really took off in Hollywood. She was a talent manager. At that point, she had 6 clients who became series regulars on network television shows. And she decided one day, Clint, I want you to move out. And that hit me like out of the blue. I was not expecting that. I'm like,
I know how that is. I had a similar thing happen to me in January.
Right?
Yeah.
And we were on a trip. We were visiting her family in Portland, Oregon. And the next day, I got on a plane and I flew back to LA. and one of her friends was house sitting. And I went home to pack up all my stuff and move out because I wanted to be out before she got back from Portland. I wanted to be gone.
Yep.
And I'm sitting in the living room after packing all day, drinking wine with her friend and smoking a joint. And her friend goes, "What do you think you could have done different?" And I said, "Dude," I burst into tears, sobbing. And I said, "It could have been more." Now, I was never able to crack the Hollywood dream. And when you're nobody in Hollywood, you are really nobody. Nobody wants to hire an actor who's a cab driver or a screenwriter who's a cab driver. They want to hire Tom Cruise or some famous writer's script, right? That's what they're looking for. They're not looking to take chances on nobodies. Mm-hmm. And I was never able to make that happen for myself, even though I continued trying for years and years after that. But what I have found is that as a nonfiction author, as a speaker, as a coach, as a consultant, as a seminar leader, I figured out how to do it. And that's what I deliver to the people. And that's what I'm going to teach you at the Instant Marketing Miracle. I'm going to go in depth. If you like this conversation about my 5 pillars of celebrity entrepreneurship, I'm going to go deep in depth, in person. And here's the thing, is like, great, you know, there's energy that you get when you're talking to a person. And the energy that we're sharing right now is limited to 4K. If we're using a 4K HD connection, that's all you can get. In person, there's all kinds of energy that I'm transmitting that you can't pick up on because it's outside the spectrum of what's deliverable on a cable modem or a Wi-Fi connection. There's all kinds of energetic teaching that you're missing out on because you're not here in person with me. But when you're in person with me in Atlanta, August 7, 8, 9, you're gonna get a whole different, deep perspective on how do you really be a celebrity in the eyes of your customers and prospects so you can make 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. One of my clients recently sold her medical practice in Austin, Texas for 9 figures.
Wow.
And, you know, you talk about a guy like Grant Cardone. He's now a billionaire from being a celebrity entrepreneur. He leveraged celebrity entrepreneurship. And here's the beauty of it all. Let me see if I can bring up this video. You know who Grant Cardone is, right?
Mm-hmm. Doesn't he travel around? Is it?
So he was an really big drug addict in his 20s, like my age. Mm-hmm. And then after that, he got his life together and he started getting into real estate management. And then, like Clint said, he started kind of leveraging celebrity entrepreneurship together. And now he has this whole thing called 10X. And it's just like about
Mr. 10X.
Yeah.
Mr. 10X. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Super awesome.
So I'm going to play you.
I was just educated.
Okay. I'm going to play you this video. Here it goes.
Okay.
All right. Now, and your intern, you think Grant Cardone is somebody, right, Nate?
Always. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Watch this video. Here we go.
Okay.
Great. There he is. Anybody in this room know who that person is? Anybody? Not one person. Okay. Uncle G. Okay.
That's insane.
Okay. Now, who were those people? Those people were 30 financial advisors in New York City at the Harvard Club of New York City.
Gotcha.
They don't give a shit about Grant Cardone. They work for Morgan Stanley. They work for Smith Barney. They work for major financial management companies. They don't give a shit about him. But to you and me, Grant Cardone is somebody. Grant Cardone leveraged his somebodiness to you and me, Nate, because we think he's somebody. He leveraged into $1 billion real estate portfolio.
Oh, wow.
And nobody knows who the fuck he is because to the rest of the world, he's nobody. But to me and Nate, Grant Cardone is, oh, wow, that's Grant Cardone, 10X. He had his own event at Marlin Stadium with 30,000 people. He just had another event in February at Mandalay Bay with like 13,000 people. He's somebody, but he's nobody. And you know what? I could show you other videos when I go into Starbucks or banks. I ask the bank teller, do you know anything about Tony Robbins? And they will usually say, Tony who?
Really?
And if you don't say Tony who, they will say, what is he, some kind of actor on Game of Thrones or something? They don't know who Tony Robbins is.
Really?
Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone are the ultimate expression of celebrity entrepreneurship, where you really don't give up your anonymity. You really don't give up your privacy, but your customers and prospects think you're a freaking god, and they pay you tons of money, and you become rich and famous in the eyes of your customers and prospects. And that's what this whole thing is about. And that's what I'm teaching at this event. And I'm asking all of these people, Dr. Drew, Dr. Oz, Paula Dean, Patch Adams, Surgeon General, how do you have more impact, influence, and income as an expert, author, speaker, coach, entrepreneur? How do you do it? What are your secrets for making it happen for you? How did you become Paula Dean? How did you become Dr. Oz? How did you become Patch Adams? How do you do it? Because that's what I want, and that's what all the people who come to this event want too. All
right, so August 7th, 8th, and 9th. How do you get more impact, influence, and
income?
At the
Instant Marketing Miracle, IMM 20.
At the Instant Marketing Miracle, IMM 20, 2020 or 20?
IMM20.com.
IMM20. August 7th, 8th, and 9th. We'll also have it in our show notes, and we'll get it out to all of our entrepreneurs that are on our podcast and who are interested in being on the podcast. And we thank you so much, Clint, for taking the time to tell us all of your amazing stories and give us a little look at your life there in Acapulco. I would trade places with you for sure right now.
This can be yours and more.
It will be.
IMM20.com.
It will be. Totally. You saw it here, folks. All right, Clint. Thank you for your time, and we'll get a copy of this out to you once we get it all edited, and you can throw it up on any type of social media that you have too, if you like.
I will do that.
All right.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, intern Nate. You guys have a good one. Good
night,
everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.